Okay, well, welcome back to the second part of animals. The last time we talked about invertebrates. Those are the animals that did not have a backbone. And today we're going to talk about vertebrates. Vertebrates. And these are the animals that have a skull and an endoskeleton. Okay, you say, well, what's an endoskeleton? Well, we know what a skeleton is. Those are your bones. Endo meaning inside. So your skeleton is on the inside of your body. So, and this provides attachment points. For muscles and protection. Like your ribs. Your ribs protect your lungs and your heart, and the attachment points, your muscles are attached to the bones. Okay, so let's real quickly talk about vertebrates can either be cold-blooded or warm-blooded. So we'll talk first about cold-blooded. And the correct word for a cold-blooded is an ectotherm, meaning they receive their heat from an outside source. They do not make their own heat within their body. So the majority of them get their heat from the sun. The other one is warm blood. Warm-blooded. And these are endotherms. Endo meaning inside, therm meaning heat. So they get their heat from their own bodies, from inside their own bodies. Okay, and so when we're talking about cold-blooded and warm-blooded, the things that are cold-blooded are fish, amphibians, and reptiles. Okay, the things that are warm-blooded are birds and mammals. Okay, they're warm-blooded. Okay, so if we're going to talk about the different types of vertebrates, the first one we are going to talk about are the fish. Okay, fish. And there are two different types of fish. There are bony fish, meaning they have bones. And those are things like your tuna, your bass, your perch, anything that has a bone in it, your cod. And then the other one is what they call cartilaginous. Cartilaginous. And these are fish that have cartilage, like your sharks, your rays, and your skates. These are types of fish. And they have cartilage. The interesting fact is that being made from nothing but cartilage, they don't suffer from things like bone cancer. And so the scientists have really been watching them because things like sharks and rays don't get certain types of cancers. And so they're really studying those about that. Our next one are our amphibians. Amphibians. And they live part of their life in water. Whether that is to grow in water, like a tadpole grows from an egg to an adult, but they have to do it in water, okay? and the other part of their life is on land. And these include frogs, toads, and salamanders. Okay. Our last group of cold-blooded are reptiles. And this includes the well-known turtles, lizards, alligators, and don't forget snakes. So these are all what we call ectothermal. They're cold-blooded. And they get their, if they don't get heat, they become very sluggish, and if it gets too cold, they do die from the cold because they cannot produce their own heat. Okay, let me just erase this top part up here, and then we'll talk about the endothermal, the animals that make their heat from inside their own bodies. I'll leave this up here, and that includes the birds. Okay, birds. They are endothermal. They are vertebrates that have wings, legs, and they have either a beak or a bill. Ducks have bills, and feathers, and I'll put father. Feathers. And the most important thing is they lay eggs. That's how their young develop, is inside a hard egg. Our last one are mammals. And they get their name from the fact that they have mammary glands. They have mammary glands. A mammary gland is a gland that produces milk to feed their young. Okay? To feed their young. Humans are mammals, dogs are mammals, gorillas are mammals, goats are mammals, they all produce milk. Okay? There are three, when we talk about mammals, there are three different types of mammals. Two of them, there's not very many in the group. The last group, there's like 95% fall into that group. But we'll talk about the three groups of mammals. And the first is called a monotreme. Mono meaning one. Monotremes. They lay eggs. They're a mammal that lays an eggs. The egg is leathery. It's not a hard shell. And there's only two species that do this. And one of them is the duck-billed platypus. And the other one is the, let me pronounce it correctly, echidna. I had to remember, echidna. Now, on the echidnas, there are four different types of echidnas. Okay? There's only one duck-billed platypus, but this should be a Y, platypus. But there are four types of echidnas, and they all live in Australia, New Zealand, and Tasmania. You're not going to find anything that lays a leathery egg here in North America. Our second group are what we call marsupials. Marsupials. And they give birth, and their young mature in a pouch. Their young mature in a pouch on the mother. The pouch is on the mother. And so they're born usually very tiny, and then they make their way into the pouch, and that's where they get their nutrition, and the mother takes care of them. And these are things like kangaroos, wombats, and possums. Now we do have a North American possum, and they have a pouch, and they spend part of their life as an infant in these pouches. Our last one, and this is the group that makes up 95% of all mammals, is what we call placental mammals. And these are mammals that fully develop within a sac-like organ called a placenta that feeds them inside of their mother. Okay? And so they develop, the young develop inside their mother's placenta. That's why they are called placental. Okay? Humans, dogs, goats, horses, cows, sheep, cats, rats, anything that is not a marsupial or not a monotreme is a placental. And that makes up, be sure to remember this, 95% of all mammals are placental. All mammals, okay, are placental. All right.